What's up for this week? A new soap, a custom boar brush I've been looking forward to for a long time, and the return of an old favorite aftershave. Hello again, Michael Freeberg here from beautiful North Carolina, and before we start today's shave, I have a public service announcement. It's an alert to all wet shavers who would like to save some money, and I know all of you got into wet shaving to save money. Now, the actual outcome of how that's worked out in terms of actual money saved, different story, but I just want to alert you to the fact that there's going to be, as there is every year, another massive day sale on AliExpress. So if you're looking to pick up some products from either from DS Cosmetic or from Yaki or for some of the other vendors on AliExpress, I think the day you need to watch out for is November 11th. That's an all-day sale. It's very similar to something like Prime Days on Amazon, so keep an eye on that date. I'll try to remind you next week as well because it'll be likely some very significant savings for products across the board, so be on the lookout for that. All right, enough money talk. Let's talk about what's on the product list for today. I'm going to be returning to the Karve Shaving Christopher Bradley aluminum razor. Today it's going to be the C base plate, which is the closed comb or the safety bar version. I'm going to be using a Gillette Ruby blade. This only made it 4 shaves. This is the second version, the second instance of this blade I'm using this week. I've returned back to this razor because I really like how this razor shaves. I wanted to get back and use the C base plate after last week's open comb D plate, just to remind myself of how good the C plate is. Let me just assemble this. There we go. So there will likely be very little new review of the razor. I'll just talk about the differences between the C safety bar plate and the D open comb. But I can short circuit that whole discussion by saying that is still a fantastic, easy to use, very comfortable razor. Today's soap is from Murphy and McNeil. This is the Trinity. This is a Creed Aventus scent clone. This is their base tallow version. This is not the duck fat. I have another version of the soap, different scent, which includes the duck fat. I want to try and compare the two. As you can see, very light color. It's a little deceptive. This soap is very soft and very tacky in the container. Scent strength, I would have to describe as light, not mild, but light. It has for me, kind of two parts to the scent. Kind of obviously the pineapple scent is foremost. There's a sweet kind of a fruit scent, which apparently is the apple in there. And then there is a light, for me, kind of a light floral scent in addition to that, which is, I think it's rose and jasmine. Now there are some base notes in there, but I don't really pick any of those up in here. For me, it's kind of a light, sweet, Aventus style scent. And as I said, light out of the container. I have way more in the loading bowl than I need. I somehow, for some reason, scooped out more than I really realized when I was kind of prepped for this week. But in fact, it's turned out great because, you know what? A bit of extra soap in the loading bowl really helps load up because you're not loading directly from the full contents of the normal soap container. The brush for today, and I'll talk about the ingredients of the soap in just a little bit. Let's get to the brush, because when I start lathering and loading up, we'll talk about the soap a bit more. But today's brush is going to be something I've been looking forward to for a long time, and finally had a chance to work out with Dogwood Handcrafts. It is a custom boar brush. This is a Zenith B3 A26 knot that has been kindly removed from its original aluminum housing and then re-knotted, reset into this fantastic, very simple barrel-shaped handle. I really wanted something simple, something somewhat larger, something easy to hold. The beautiful combination of the green and the blue. I really hope you can kind of pick up just how fantastic that wood piece turned out. Man, the brush is just amazing. I knew this was going to be a good knot because I used it previously just in a different version of the BO3. The knot I've broken in by soaking in a glass of water for about 2 days. It is already much softer and working fantastically. So I'm going to wet my face, start loading up the brush, and we'll talk about the soap. For those of you who are wondering, yes, mostly a return to the one-handed face wetting options. All right, I'm going to dip the brush back into the sink to kind of warm it through again. It's been soaking maybe no more than 10 minutes. Relatively dry brush. and just start working it over the soap. Now, as you can see with the dry brush, this is creating kind of a bit of a thin paste. You don't get that immediate kind of frothiness. I'm going to add some water to this, just drop by drop. This is a thirsty-ish soap, not really a very thirsty soap, like you have to keep adding water to get anything going. In fact, as you can see, that's already starting to build a bit of a nice paste. A bit more water. And just another drop or two. Yeah, I think if you were to leave that soap sit out uncovered for a while, it would of course harden up and dry out. This is very kind of sticky and soft, so if you have a brush that tends to pick up a lot of soap on a very soft, tacky soap like this, just beware of the fact you might be picking up more soap than you think, and then you will have to add more water. So I'm going to add just another drop or two to this, and then we'll start building a lather on the face. Yeah, so as I said, this is a tallow-based soap, not the duck fat version, just the base tallow. I know they've also recently come out with a Kodiak Bear tallow version, which I think is kind of a very, probably a very limited run. This does include shea butter and kokum butter. It does include lanolin, by the way, so for those of you out there who are sensitive to lanolin, this is a soap to skip. Scent strength when lathering is really quite light. All right, I'm going to add a bit of water to the brush. Again, I'm just dripping some on there. As you can see, the brush is already splaying quite nicely. Tips are pretty soft. And this is just going to continue to get better and better and better. I find this shape very easy to hold because I can hold the entire brush handle in my hand without having to worry about kind of the bead that normally separates the top and the bottom halves in so many brush designs. As you can see, no issue building a lather. That's still a little too dry. I've loaded a lot of soap. I'm just going to paint in a bit of water. There we go. Yeah, so the brush is now moving kind of smoothly and easily through the lather. There we go. Yeah, there is no scrits to this brush at all. Tips are soft, nice backbone. Very glad I was able to work this out with Dogwood Handcrafts to get that knot moved out of that original handle and into this custom one. There we go. All right. Let's get shaving, shall we? Yeah, I really wanted to use the razor again for second week. Last week's shaves were so good, and I just want to come back and reuse the safety bar C base plate, and not disappointed at all. There is a distinct difference in the face feel. Very, very little blade feel, and that was true for the stainless steel version as well. This razor is just so comfortable to use, and just, you know, the balance obviously in this case is more towards comfort than on the efficiency side, but it is still quite efficient. You're not going to have to make multiple passes and sort of do over it all. As you can see, 2 days of growth, no issue. I think this really comes down to, for these razors, is exactly what kind of face feel you want. This to me feels like a incredibly safe and comfortable shave. Daily shaves, absolutely no issue, no irritation. And also no sense that I'm somehow having to shave to make up for a deficiency in efficiency, because that's just not the case. Well, that was two big fancy words. There we go. Yeah, as you can see from the lather in the soap, this builds a nice, kind of dense, heavy, slick lather, a nice fatty feel to it. All right, let's rinse off in between passes. You are, of course, welcome not to rinse off during passes. And I'm not going to say you're doing it wrong because, well, it's up to you how you're doing it. But you're doing it all wrong. All right, pass number 2. This is going to be against the grain, across the grain. Lots of soap still in that brush. Yeah, and you can really feel really high quality slickness here. No issues with the soap this week. Not in terms of shaving performance. Like I said, I think the scent is light. And for something that's selling itself as a Creed Aventus clone, what you're really looking for is kind of that punch, a really distinct Aventus scent. All right, pass number 2, across the grain. Yeah, if you're trying to figure out which base plate to buy from the Karve, I think for the C and below, you're really talking about what most people would describe as a very mild shave, and that means that you have very little to any blade feel. For D and above, obviously the higher you get, the more blade there's going to be. I was very pleasantly surprised with the D open comb at just how solid that shave felt. Like no issues in terms of the blade edge control or anything like that. So if you're looking for something a bit more on the higher end and you still want to get a feel for the blade edge but without that sense of like dangerous chatter or movement, bump it up. If you just want a very solid, comfortable, easy shave, no worries, but still with very good efficiency, C plate would be just spot on right in the middle there. Really can't recommend that enough. All right, one more rinse. I may have gotten a touch of soap in my mouth. We'll see. Yeah, a little bit. All right, third and final pass. Now, it struck me, by the way, and of course I'd have to mix them up to do this, but if you really want to use the razor as kind of a modular system, you could easily do something like, I could do the D open comb for pass number 1, after having not shaved for a couple of days and really knock it down. Switch to the D safety bar for pass number 2, and then for this third and final pass, dial it back by switching to the C base plate. And there may be people out there that are doing that today who've purchased the different base plates for exactly that reason. But I think that would result in a fantastic shave. All right, third and final pass. Now, I know that may look a little bit thinner than the soap or the lather on the first pass, but I have to tell you though, I've had a couple days where that lather was even thinner than that, kind of deliberately. Excellent slickness, like the fundamental slickness of the soap is really quite good. So you do not need a mountain. I will say, in terms of blades, these Gillette Rubies, you know what? They've been okay. They have not been great. I think I would 100% pick the Silver Blues over these. Yeah, I was a little disappointed in the longevity of that first blade this week. That fourth shave well, it was a little rough at the end. This is shave number 2. Yeah. Can already feel just a touch of tugginess. Yeah, this razor just feels so good to use though. So easy on the face. I did overshave one day down here, kind of on purpose. Not bad at all. Kind of an easy spot to do because the hair here grows very flat and along the line of the skin there, and of course that skin is also not flat. So you're gonna have to work corner up, a tiny touch there. To be expected. I'm definitely having some spots of irritation on my scalp, and again a resurgence of irritation down here. So I think for the next couple months I would expect to see a little bit thinning and a little bit more fragile, and that's totally okay. All right, rinsing. Soap is definitely slick, a little bit hard to get off. Yeah, I think that is the last ruby I have, and probably the last ruby I'll use. Let me just towel off a little bit. Yeah, so for me, the other downside of the soap is the post-shave. Based on the ingredient list and sort of the sort of fatty face feel of the soap in use, which is really quite nice. I mean, it feels heavy and dense and slick and a very nice protective layer. For me, at least, this soap ends up being quite drying at the end. Like if I just let it sit, it feels pretty good right now, but 10 or 15 minutes from now, my skin feels very tight and overly dry, which I'm surprised by because, you know, it's a tallow and lanolin based soap, but for whatever reason, does not seem to work that well for my skin. Great shaves, just post-shave, not really there for me. All right, the return of a long lost but early favorite. This is the Cheshire aftershave. I've not looked back into the scent. I think this is the tea-based version of the scent. I've deliberately tried to stay away from reminding myself about the fact that you can't get this anymore. I have in a previous video, and this is quite some time ago, probably 3 years ago, I used a sample of this, and at the time I expressed my, well, I said that I was mad at Barrister and Mann because I should not like this aftershave. And that still holds true. This is a aloe vera based aftershave with an inordinately long list of really excellent skin friendly botanicals and other ingredients. It's a laundry list of luscious goodness, and the stuff is fantastic. The scent, I think this is the tea-based one. I think Earl Grey maybe. Smells really good. The scent is relatively strong when you put it on. It is a little bit acrid when you first apply it. It's kind of a bit of a strong hit, but that very quickly settles down, opens up, and mellows in terms of scent. Smells really good. And skin feel, I do not have that kind of aloe vera stickiness or tackiness or the overly slippery kind of gloppy, looby kind of, nothing like that. Very, very nice. And a very nice sort of correction to the feel of my skin after the shave based on that soap. Yes, this is one of the ones where I would always rinse my hands afterwards. I am very, very grateful that this was offered for purchase. Somebody had a box of items and I was able to purchase this and a Barrister and Mann Reserve Classic aftershave. Brandon, thank you again so much for the offer. Really appreciate it. This is something which I had been hoping that Barrister and Mann would bring back, but apparently, although they've made some attempts, I don't think this particular aftershave in this formula might ever come back. It's apparently insanely expensive to produce and just not tenable in today's market. So if you have it, use it and love it while you can. Wow. Okay. Whew. That ended very, very well. And no wonder, because it is a panoply, a cavalcade of excellent products. Let's talk about, while I dry off the tin. This is the Trinity soap from Murphy and McNeil. This is their Create Aventus clone. The base tallow version does include lanolin. This is a very nice kind of rich, creamy, dense soap. Very, very soft in texture, so just be aware of that when you're scooping it out or when you're loading directly from the container. I really like the soap performance overall. It's got a good dense lather, very good slickness, good protection, very easy to work with. Light on the scent, which is unfortunate because Aventus, of course, is a delicious scent. And at least for me, post-shave is not great. Too dry and too tight, unfortunately. We'll see how it fares with the tallow and duck fat version. That'll be a very good comparison coming up, hopefully in the next couple weeks. Today's razor, a return of the Karve Shaving Christopher Bradley aluminum. This is the C safety bar version, C base plate. Fantastic, easy shave, so comfortable, so easy to use, still quite efficient. No issues in terms of things like buffing. If you like the buff, this is a great option. A kind of a perfectly balanced middle of the road option here in terms of comfort and efficiency. Very, very happy with that razor. Excellent shaves. And we'll just see what happens in future. All right, as I'm just wiping off some of the soap from the handle, the custom boar brush from Dogwood Handcrafts. So this kind of joins the other ones, like I've got two from Rod Neep. I have a fantastic one from Grey Dog, and now this guy. And like I said, if I had to choose, I'm going with the boar knot all the time. This is already so good to use, and that was a great choice to take it out of that Zenith brush. I love how this thing turned out. I think the wood looks fantastic. Mixed piece down here has got a little tiny bit of glitter. You can get a great feel for the texture at the bottom of the wood in there. Knot just turned out fantastic, and the handle is amazing looking, and I love it. All right, and then, although I won't on camera shed a tear for its sad demise and lack of availability, Kyovu, Cheshire, Aftershave, Splash. I wish they still made this because it's fantastic stuff. I hope that something like this comes back on the market again. It's a great combination of botanical ingredients. I think it's aloe and witch hazel. There's just the ingredients, everything you see on that label, non-stop ingredients. Excellent, excellent stuff. I'm going to continue to use this sparingly because, of course, I'm cycling it out with other things, but I'm not going to like hold it in some kind of holy shrine because, they're not going to make it anymore. I have it and it's there to be used. And if you have it, you should use yours as well. All right, my friends, I think we're going to call it quits right there. Once again, thank you again so much for watching. I really appreciate the time you're taking to watch these videos. As always, please feel free to leave comments or questions against this video or any previous video. I think I am 99% caught up on all the comments, and thank you again for just keeping them coming. I love reading through them. I try to respond to everyone that I can. If you're answering questions as well, that's fantastic. Just sort of helps build a community around these videos, and that's always deeply appreciated. As always, thank you again so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.